and welcome to the September 2021 Planetarian Zoom seminar. And today we have Guilherme Frederico Marranghello presenting about the interactive show Mission Mars. And Guilherme, you can tell us a little bit about yourself. I won't give a long introduction for you. Take it away.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody, to be here. I was showing Alan that I'm in the extreme south of Brazil. If you want to find my city, Bagé, you can first look for Uruguay and then go up to the north and you will find my city just 60 kilometers from the Uruguayan border. So we have developed a show during this pandemic. And the idea is that the show is interactive. So it's not made of one movie of 20, 30 minutes, but it's broken in small pieces. And the idea to me almost tonight is to show a little bit of the show here in the beginning. And you can see the idea of that. And then I will talk about the production. And if you have questions, just ask anytime. And if we have time, we can see more parts of the show. We have scheduled some virtual shows during the pandemic that gave us the idea of this show. So to start the show, I will start with one question for you. And here it is. Would you like to be the first person to land on Mars? Oh, the kids enjoyed that question, you know. I see it will be very different from the kids. Almost nobody.
I think we have a lot more fear. Kids are more fearless.
Okay, that's good. Usually the kids, we talk about a little bit about the trip to Mars, and they are scared about the time of the travel. Too much time away from home. They don't care about food, about beer, of course, but coffee, but they are scared about the time of the travel.
Guilherme, did you share the results yet?
Yes, I shared.
Okay.
Close.
Just now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't, as a host, I can't really see what the co-host is doing. Okay. Thanks.
Yes, you don't vote because you are the host.
I didn't get a vote.
Okay. So I'll start showing you one of the parts of the show.
Hello, my name is Perseverance, a word we use to describe people who do not give up easily, who have persistence and determination. I'm one of the Mars rovers, and I'm here to guide you on our mission to explore the planet Mars. Together, we will travel millions of miles for 8 months until we reach the red planet. So hold on to your seats and let's get ready to blast off. Mars is our cosmic neighbor, and we've been curious about it for centuries. Over 400 years ago, a German named Johannes Kepler made important discoveries about Mars by using a telescope, which was a brand new invention back then. We're still learning about Mars, and now we can send space probes there. There are different kinds of probes and different places to land. So let's decide what kind of mission to Mars we will send today. Some probes, called orbiters, do not land on the surface of the planet. Instead, they stay in orbit high above Mars. From up there, they collect data that scientists can analyze to get the big picture of the Martian land and atmosphere. Other kinds of probes do descend to the surface of Mars. There are landers, which stay in one place once they have touched down. They carry out detailed studies of the rocks and soil on the surface and even dig down into the ground, seeking information about the deepest layers of Martian soil. And don't forget about the rovers like me. After we land on Mars, we can travel short distances across the planet, so we can study the Martian surface and climate in different places.
Okay, this is the second part of the show, the second movie of the show. And I would like to ask you, what kind of mission do you like to choose? Anyone would like to tell me what mission?
Orbiter.
Okay, can you tell me why do you choose the orbiter?
I would give us a picture, a wide picture of the planet.
I'm
Great.
lazy. Orbiters are easier.
That's what Jeff said.
Ken, you typed rover. Would you like to argue for rover?
Well, since the rovers are sent to particular places on Mars that are of particular biological and sedimentary interest, I I just want to go somewhere and dig for life. I want to go fossil hunting on Mars. you know.
Does anybody else would like to argue for rover, lander, or orbiter?
Well, with the rover, you could do a sideshow. Start doing circles.
Okay. Let's make it interesting. And let's vote for that. Okay, I can see the results here. Just one person still to vote.
I noticed you
And
didn't you didn't mention the helicopter as an option.
we have 58% for rover. So we could show you the movie for orbiter or for lander. In fact, the next movie is the same for lander and rover because we have to choose where to land. So let's go for the next movie.
Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system. Its surface area is just a little more than 1/4 of Earth's. Even so, that's 55,907,000 square miles. So we need to choose very carefully where to land our mission. Option number 1 is the Gale crater. This crater is 96 miles in diameter and has a mountain peak in its center. Something that interests scientists is the large amount of debris that has accumulated around this central peak. They think Gale Crater may once have been a lake, and the debris could be layers of sediment left behind by the waters. In that case, it would contain invaluable information about Mars' past. Option number 2 is Elysium Planitia, a broad plain that straddles the Martian equator. It includes several volcanoes, but its most interesting feature was discovered in 2005 when the Mars Express spacecraft photographed what scientists think could be a real sea of frozen water. Option number 3 is the Jezero crater. About 30 miles across, this is a crater that we know was once flooded with water. Probes have revealed that it is part of what would have once been a river delta. If life on Mars did exist in the past, it's likely that traces of it could have accumulated in Jezero. So, where are we going? Jezero Crater, Gale Crater, or Elysium Planitia? Mars is the second smallest planet in...
And of course, now we would ask you to vote, to discuss about the landing site, and then ask you to vote for the landing site. And that's the idea of the show. And we had that not in this movie, but another version for the virtual shows. And each session is completely different from the other. And here is completely different because only one person would like to be the first person to land on Mars. Usually the kids, or everybody wants to be the first person, or half, the worst case, half of them don't want to go to Mars. Usually I tell them that I would like to have my name on the history books that he was the first person to land on Mars and everything. And bye, Amy. And let me talk a little bit about the show here. So the first idea of the show is that it's meant to be interactive. So the kids must decide where to go. We can't go without their decision. During the pandemic, it was very interesting because with the polls, in Zoom, they had to vote. Usually in the planetarium, some kids don't like to raise the hand or to speak or something. But during the pandemic, the Zoom made them vote. So it was interesting during the pandemic. For the planetarium, we have some colored cards that can be used, and we have also some clickers that we can use to decide. But as we have some only few options here, they can decide even raising their hands for each option. So you can decide how can you do that in your planetarium. The second idea of the show is that it's completely free to use as you wish. If you want to record again the narration, you can do that. If you want to assemble every scene in only one movie, go ahead, do where else you want. The only thing that we ask that any change that make the show better, we would like you to share with everybody again. So please feel free to use the show as you wish and share with everybody. Okay, the inspiration for the show was the education modules from Dream to Discovery. They have same idea. They have to choose a mission. Now I don't remember. I guess for Saturn moons or something like that. I don't remember now where the missions shall go. But that's the same idea. We have to choose the mission and follow the path that the kids chose. Here is a scheme from the movie. We started seeing this one here about the probes, and then you can go to orbiters. The final is the same. The end of the everything is the same, or you can go like we did to landing sites. Another thing that was interesting with the kids is that most of the kids were not aware of the Perseverance landing, of all the missions that were going to Mars. So it was completely random. One group chose one thing, another group chose another thing. Here, I guess everybody is aware of the landings on Mars. And they also didn't know that there are the three options that we give them. They are already landing sites of some missions, but we don't tell them about that.
Guillerme,
Yes.
There's a question that came up in the chat from Jeff.
I was not seeing.
Where did you get those models for the Mars settlement?
Okay, I will get there, Jeff. I guess you know, Jeff. It was from NASA. I will get there.
Okay, thanks.
And it's very, very interesting. Oh, okay. If I don't see something in the chat, just let me know, please.
Sure.
And
I'm wondering because the path leading to orbiters looks like a shorter path to get to the final film. So is that a shorter show? Is there a way of making it longer or?
yes, it will be a little shorter. But remember that the time the show will last depends on the time we will spend discussing with the kids. Here I asked Carrie, Ken about their options, but with some school groups, it can last for 10 minutes or something like that. I was making it fast. The idea of the show is it's the discussion. This is the aim of the show. Make the kids argue for this one or for that one. This is the aim of the show. And okay, this is the idea. Yes, Ken. Let me talk about a history of the show. We produced that in Portuguese, and then I would like to thank Rod Kennedy and Pat Greiner for the translation to English. And as I said, the idea of the show is that you are free to do whatever you want with the show. Now I see that can just send me only to me. Okay, I was answering something that you didn't saw the comment. Sorry. Okay, Ken was talking about the opening that talks about Kepler, and the idea is that when we send the movie to them to translate, and Pat gave some ideas to change the show, and that's the idea. Go ahead, change it, please. Make it better. And we also have one version in Spanish that Marco Avalos from Costa Rica translated to Spanish. And I hope we will have in other languages too. From where did I get the models? Okay, we assemble everything using Blender. We have built some using Blender. And we have these flights from Earth to Mars. We use a space engine. Now I'm start to use also worldwide telescope to build these space travels or something like that. And we use NASA. Let me share here two. Oops, not this one. Where is it? This one, I really love to play with that. It's track.nasa. And here you can just choose one place. For example, here, Olympus Mons. And you can generate a 3D print file. And then it will generate the 3D file. Let me show you another thing here. Just 1 second. One thing that we did also for the show, unfortunately, we are still closed here. But we printed some Mars sites. Of course, it's I guess 10 times bigger than the just it's 10 times bigger than the original scale. But the idea is that we have these 3D models for blind people that visit the planetarium. And we also use it, let me share again here. NASA 3D models. We have a lot of things here that we can use for example, here, Curiosity rover. And from here, we got some models that we use in the show. It's not opening here, okay. missed something in the chat. No. And as I said, we had our virtual show version. It was called Mila Goes to Mars. And as this show was intended to kids with about 12 years old or something like that, sometimes Mila changes her age from 10 to 12 or 14, depends on the group. And usually I start the show asking if they would like to go to Mars. And I say, okay, you are in the perfect age because you have time to study, to train, and go to Mars. You are the perfect person to go to be the first one to land on Mars. And of course, I said that to people with 10, 12, or 14 years old. And this show we had during the last year with a lot of groups. And as I said, each session was completely different from the other. The way we had orbiters, landers, rovers, even right after Perseverance landing, it was completely random, the choice of the kids. The idea is that the show is completely free, and as I said, it's also free to change as you wish. You can modify it in any way. We don't have it in high resolution. You can use your own planetarium system to have the landings on Mars and everything. And if you make any changes, please let us know and share with everybody else. I'm here for some. Thank you, Alan. I'm here for to try to answer some questions or to show a little bit more of the show if you wish. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Louis.
Guillermo.
Yeah.
Everybody feel free to unmute. And if you have questions, we can have a discussion about Guillermo's show or anything that you want to talk about. Thank you. That was really good.
It's so great to see people actually using the resources. And if you can go back to your introductory slide, the title slide for the show.
Okay.
Yes, that one. I know where you got the rover and the satellite dish, and maybe the astronaut model too, but I haven't seen those buildings and the crawler or the ascent vehicle before. Did you get those
Okay.
from the...
I have to check from where did I get each model. Usually I also get some cool stuff from free3d.com.
Oh, okay.
They are probably from there, but I have to check it.
Yeah, I mean, if they look great from this distance, at least. And yeah, so if that's included in the show, that's fine. But if you have a link to share, I'd be interested. It's always great to see what other people who are not NASA make out of NASA stuff. So and it's great to hear you're using Blender too. How long have you been using Blender?
Guess I started a little bit before the pandemic, like 2 years. About
Wow,
2
you've
years.
made more progress than I have. It took me a long time to get into Blender.
Okay, we had the pandemic. I had to learn something.
I guess that's true.
And there are a lot of tutorials for Blender. And I tried something. Uh, I did a show using the song of Queen, "Don't Stop Me Now," totally on Blender, and each thing that I needed to learn to do that, I could find tons of tutorials to do that. So it's easy to learn something today with internet.
So what's next for you? What's your next show going to be?
We had a show. We have Digitalis in our dome, and we have our first show was using Nightshade, and was the story of a an alien kid that was in its planet and would like to know if there are other kids in other planets in the galaxy. So he traveled, and his spaceship broke, and he fell on Earth, of course. And now he's trying to go back to his planet, and this is the second part of that I am producing now. I guess okay, I have something that I am preparing now, but I show you another time. And this one is, I guess, almost everything we are building on Blender.
Guilherme, I'm wondering what's the mechanism for sharing any updates to the show? Where do people put those?
Okay, I will answer you with the answer to Ken. Ken asked if the links to download the show. Just write an email to Alan put the email on the chat here to planetario
Is that the preferred? Is that the preferred email or?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will share with you a Google Drive with the 3 versions: Portuguese, Spanish, and English. And then if you give me something back, I will put in the same drive, so you still have access to download anything from there.
I have a question about use of polls. I mean, what you did, you used polls twice in this presentation. Now, in the planetarium show, exactly how are those polls done? Is it?
As I said, unfortunately, we are still closed. So
okay.
we didn't have the show in the dome.
Okay, so it's a Zoom poll.
But we have some choices. We have some colored cards that we can use. We have already used it in the planetarium. We have some clickers. We didn't use them in the planetarium yet. I use them in my classes. And as we have 3 options for each question, they can even raise their hands. Our dome is 52 seats, so we can count how many people raise their hands and just count that.
In one of the LIPS sessions, there was a couple of ideas for how to get responses from students by, I don't know, one was like slapping your knees, another one was waving your hands or applauding or whatever to get responses. So there are interesting ways to do that. I'm still interested in how to do Zoom polls effectively. And I think that I'm almost thinking of having a whole other session, maybe even a seminar on how do you create really good questions for a Zoom poll. Because the questions are only as good as the questions are, and it's basically a multiple choice question that you're making. And I think most people who are in education know that that is not an easy thing to do, to make a really good multiple choice question. So it'd be interesting to have a workshop on how to I can see a planetarium show that is sprinkled with polls every now and then, especially for a large group, where you can't have people speaking up quite as easily. For a large group, a poll actually is a very effective way to go.
And remember that the important questions here are not the poll questions. It's the discussion before the poll.
Right.
These are the important questions. The poll is just to choose the next step.
And I'll just note that as far as I understand it from creating the polls for my LIPS presentation yesterday, it's either a single choice where you have two answers and you can choose one or the other. Multiple choice means there's multiple answers and you can choose as many of them as you want.
Oh, so the Zoom doesn't provide very good options for poll questions, huh?
Again, I just have limited experience, but that seemed to be the limitations. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I prefer the checkboxes where people can vote for as many things as they want. That way, it's not so closed, and it's more like an open question, right? So it's not multiple choice anymore. It's more open-ended.
Usually we had some other questions during the show. We started our virtual shows showing the night sky, what is visible during the night, and then we ask kids what constellations do they know, and then we have check boxes. Okay, they can check as many constellations as they know, and of course we put some names that we don't know any constellation with that name, and they check that.
I was really impressed with the use of, what was it, jam boards during the LIPS conference. That can produce, Guillermo, do you know about jam boards?
Yes.
Yeah, that can produce a lot of interesting ideas.
Oh, that's right, Alan. That would have been nice to include in the discussions of why do you want an orbiter, why do you want a lander? I like that idea. Guillermo, I did have a specific question. Why did you put the lander in a little box when in your
Yes, it should be landed on Mars. I don't know. Because the orbiter was there flying around Mars, and I would like to show the lander landed on Mars, and then I imagined to put it in a, I forgot the name in English, sorry, but in a box. So you can see that it is landed on Mars, but it's not really Mars. So I don't. That was the idea that I
No,
had.
it was fine. I was just curious.
I didn't do the same with the rover because the rover was narrating the show. So okay, it was already there.
I'd be curious to see at least a little bit of the orbiter video to see what it talks about.
Okay, I can show you.
Carrie convinced me that was the way to go.
I'm a big picture kind of person.
Let me share here.
Sometimes, if we study a problem too closely, we can lose track of the big picture. In those cases, a broader, more global view can be helpful. To understand Mars as a whole, we use probes that rotate around the planet in different orbits. Some stay relatively low over the surface. While others take a higher path, thousands of miles above Mars. These allow us to analyze the gases that are present in the Martian atmosphere and understand the climate and topography. That means the arrangement of physical features like mountains and valleys of the planet as a whole. So, what kind of orbit are we going to choose for our mission? Low, high, eccentric, or heliosynchronous? Mars is the second smallest planet.
That was great. That was way more involved than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Thank you.
And did you eyeball all of those orbits, or they actually did you actually do the math?
Sorry?
Did you estimate those orbits, or did you actually do the mathematics to make them accurate?
No, I estimated.
Okay.
Okay,
Honestly,
we
that's what I
have a
would do too.
question. We have a question about metric. This comes up every now and then from Philip Blanco. Did the Spanish and Portuguese versions use metric?
Yes.
Okay, but question is to all planetarians, do you use metric for school or public shows? Okay, so let's have well, we only have a few show of hands here where we can see the hands, but you can do hand raising if you use exclusively metric. Raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand if you use metric when you think it's appropriate. Now raise your hand if you think it's appropriate all the time. Oh, that was the first question.
Ken wrote that he liked the different flags for the probes. We chose to use the flags for this first part of the orbiters. The next part of the orbiters, then we have the orbiters. We felt that it would be interesting to show that there are a lot of countries working on the Mars exploration.
Guillermo, do you
Yes.
ever find that you need to play a video more than once so that the kids get all of the information they need? I was thinking particularly about the landing sites where there's a lot of information about each landing site, and to ask them to evaluate which one they want to go to, they may need to have it repeated.
We don't intend to repeat, but to discuss with them. So we can repeat the information, but not repeat the video.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's completely different than what we did during the virtual shows, because during the virtual shows it was all live shows. We were talking all the time.
I really like the format where you have the segments and you get a chance to discuss in between, and then you go back to the video. I think it really works really well. We had a number of shows that did that, and I like those a lot. And to answer your question, Alan, I kind of like to mix up metric and the other, depending on what I think the audience is going to kind of be able to relate to better. And maybe you give them both so they get a sense of them.
I read an article where Great Britain is thinking of going back to imperial. They're going backwards.
I think that was just for pubs.
Just the pubs?
I think it was just to allow pubs to sell pints. Which
That'd
I
be an
think-
interesting idea actually for a show, at least in the US, to kind of, challenge kids to think that way and come up with some interesting ways to get them thinking about it. I try to use Celsius because I do a lot of correspondence with people all over the world. So I just have Celsius in my car and try to use that.
Was there, okay, my memory is fuzzy here. Was there a mission where there was a mistake made?
Yep. That was,
Okay, I do remember. And the mission
was-
failed because of that.
There
Yes,
was
it
the
did.
Mars orbiter mission, I think.
Yeah.
Or was it Mars orbiter?
Hey, Jeff, regale
Polar
us with
lander,
detail, would
maybe?
ya?
I remembered it as the Beagle Lander 2 that Dario put in.
No, this was a
This was not
NASA
the Beagle?
Yeah,
Which
it was a
back in
NASA
the-
orbiter.
late 90s.
I thought it was a British one.
Nope.
Yeah.
No,
There are a lot of stories about that one here at JPL.
I bet.
There's a calculation as to when the retro rocket should fire, what the altitude was going to be. Was that it? Was
Something like
kilometers
that.
or
Yeah.
miles? Would make a big difference.
Yeah. One team used metric, and another team used English, and yeah, it didn't work.
Sorry, I mentioned it.
Jeff, what is the standard now? Is it
Thank you very
metric or
much.
English?
I will tell about that in all my physics classes when I talk about math and everything.
There's
That-
actually a math activity about it. I just linked to it in the chat. So if you're interested in doing math with your students, it's funny to say the least. Now.
Oh, space math. That's Odenwald.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
What's that?
Oh,
The
I was
guy
just
who does
thanking
space
Jeff
math.
for this link.
Just great. Thank you, Jeff.
Stan Odenwald is the one who started the space math website. There's a whole lot
Oh,
of
it was-
really neat space math things there. Well, we're getting close to the end. There's no formal ending point, but think of any last questions you have, and if there are none. Oh, if you hadn't signed in, go ahead and sign in the chat. If you came in late and didn't sign in, we just put our names and where we're from. But I would say you can unmute, and we're going to give one more round of applause, Guillermo. This was a really, really good seminar.
And
Thank
for
you,
those of
Alan.
us
Thank
who've
you,
been in
everybody.
planetarium workshops all day, this is a nice cap. It's like the icing on the cake. Thank you so much.
I have to
Yep.
ask. I have to ask you one thing that those that were in IPS VCon last year must remember that. But here, when we have the kids in the planetarium, we always ask them to point to a star, and we tell them that we have stars all around. So you don't need to point up. You can point left, right, down, anything else. And we take the pictures with the kids. So I would like you to point to a star, and I'll print screen you here. Okay, I like to point anywhere else instead of the top. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for putting these together, Alan.
Okay. Okay, bye, everybody. Till
Bye,
next
Alan.
month.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.